Twitter is basically how you connect with influencers, if you will. I don't think Twitter is in any way a reflection of where people actually stand. I think there is way too much of the Silicon Valley bot system, if you will, that affects, what gets promoted, what doesn't get promoted. But what I do believe is that Facebook is the best place to reach older voters. I believe that Instagram is the best place to reach the widest swath of voters. And I believe that TikTok is the best place to reach millennials and Gen Zers. What have you experienced using social media, and how has that played a role in your campaign?
I am so glad you asked me that question, Peter, because I will tell you, I have been on interviews and podcasts and nobody asks about social media. First of all, I fully understand that social media itself cannot win you an election. And I think you're right that especially Twitter doesn't exactly always conform to where everybody actually stands. However, A, you can fundraise off of social media, and B, campaign strategists, I don't think have yet realized social media is the new way people communicate. The very first thing you do when you don't know what to do is pick up your phone, open Twitter, open Instagram. My campaign is extremely active on social media. We're launching our TikTok here in the next few weeks. Obviously, Twitter is our biggest platform. For anyone listening, my Twitter handle is Sam for Ohio. I would love if you went and followed it. We're almost at 50,000 followers. And again, that's crazy for a state representative race in Ohio. We are bringing this state and also this national attention to a race where if Sarah Carruthers was running on a national platform, she'd be getting bashed by every Democrat because she is so corrupt. However, we're not bringing the issues to the voters, or at least we haven't in past years. And that's what social media is helping us do this year.
Yeah, so we had a question, and I think the answer is yes. But the question was, is Sam of the Bernie platform?
That's an interesting question. First of all, I love Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie is, first of all, one of the most effective senators. That's just data driven. But second of all, one of my favorite senators. He and I might disagree politically on a lot of things. I would say he's traditionally a little more left than I am. But you also have to consider the fact I'm running in Southwest Ohio. I think somebody put it best when they said, you look like you've put together a campaign that's marketing a fairly left set of values as a common sense platform. We don't have to go all the way to the end. I'm fairly progressive, but again, if you can market these issues as what they are, common sense, then you can get across party lines to independents and even some Republicans. So am I of the Bernie platform? Yeah. No, not totally. Do I agree with Bernie Sanders on some things? Of course. I think he's great.
Right. I mean, you're of the idea that people should have a living wage in healthcare.
Of course.
Okay. So that I think that's what that person was kind of getting at, because for me, it's, do you believe we're entitled to healthcare? And do you believe people are entitled to a life with dignity? That's how I view the Bernie platform in general. Not every policy, not, every specific thing, but are those your values?
I think it's interesting. And I think, first of all, I will push back a little bit because I think it's good to have these discussions. I'm not the biggest fan of Medicare for all right off the bat. I was a big supporter of Pete Buttigieg in his primary Medicare for all, who wants it was his platform. And essentially what Pete said was, if this works like it's supposed to, essentially it will eventually transform into Medicare for all. Once everybody realizes that this government option is better than private healthcare, it'll also fuel competition in the market. That's more of a national issue and less of a state one. But of course, for those who don't have access to healthcare, underinsured, uninsured, yes, the government needs to be doing everything we can to get them the healthcare they need.
Yeah, I want to remind people, we're about non-corporate candidates. And I've said it all along that if people are running to represent their constituents, they don't need to agree with us on everything. They just need to be representing their constituents. And so I think that, and especially in places where we really need to reach across to the right populist side of things, that, the people that are more conservative but labor oriented. And this is very important. So I don't have a barometer like that. Obviously I'm hoping that as you grow up and as you wisen, that you will understand some of these things. But I don't have any problem as long as you're not taking corporate money. It's all good with me.
That's the three unifying issues of our time, no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, is being able to live, which means a living wage, being able to have health care, and dealing with this climate crisis. And if you can unite behind those three, I think it's very easy to get where you need to go. Obviously, we do not support Buttigieg, but that's okay. We can't agree on everything. What I do believe is where you're coming from is actually fairly sensible, because everybody, kind of wants an all or nothing proposition when it comes to healthcare. And the reality is you got to get something off the ground somewhere. Now, whether that is a public option, which is something we should have had over a decade ago, whether it is pushing forward a statewide single payer healthcare system in a state like California, New York, obviously the work that whole Washington is doing in Washington state is absolutely phenomenal. And having a ballot initiative of sorts, that to me is really where we're going to be able to break through. Something as simple as this wedding that I went to near Martha's Vineyard over the weekend in Massachusetts, and the amount of traffic that you hit from Boston going out to the Cape. If you had a high-speed rail just from Boston to the Cape, the amount of carbon footprint reduction, the amount of traffic on the road, the amount of money saved, everything adds up. Everything, logistically speaking, makes all kinds of sense. Those are the types of conversations we need to be having. And even though, we are obviously supporters of universal health care, Medicare for all, everyone's going to have a different way of seeing it, even though there's this idea. It's kind of like, I'm sure plenty of people, obviously in Southwest Ohio, that are big Trump supporters. You don't have to support Donald Trump, but you don't have to tell people that are Trump supporters that they're terrible people. You figure out ways to mend those fences and get to the conclusion that, hey, these issues we're talking about, most of us are absolutely going to benefit from. And I think what you're doing is absolutely the right approach. And we are in a different part of the country. What may seem sensible here is maybe not as sensible there, and you have to approach it with what is in the best interest of the more Midwestern, moderate approach to all types of electoral politics. Is that fair to say?
I think that's extremely fair. And I think you made a few really good points there. First of all, I think the environment is easily the biggest issue that we are all coming together on, and we are going to come together on more in the future. It is my number one issue. It is what I am most focused on. I know you can do a little less at the state level that you can at a national level. But to say this is not a climate emergency, frankly, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, but it's bullshit. There are people who more recently, climate change has come into the fold as factual, and there have been less people actually denying it. But you still have people that don't want to use everything we have to fight it. And that's just not the way we have to go about it.
Couldn't have said it better. Jen, website?
Oh, yes. Where can people help you, Sam?
Where can people help me? Well, first of all, I actually do want to go backwards just a minute and talk a little bit about universal health care more. So first of all,
here, you got to just quickly wrap. You got to quickly. Yeah, no. It's okay. But you got to just wrap. So I just want to give people your website. Of course.
You guys can all find me at Sam for Ohio on all of my social medias. They will have a donate link. That's where you can help me most, especially if you are out of state. I would love your support. If you're in my district, I would love your vote. And again, Jen and Peter, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.